Linux Out Loud is firing up our microphones, connecting those headphones as we search the community for themes to expand upon. We keep the banner friendly, the conversation somewhat on topic, and have fun doing it. This week, we are spouting off about things we're doing at the start of 2024. Let's get into episode 81. And with me today are my fine co-hosts, Nate and Wendy. And, Wendy anyway, Nate, maybe not so much.
I certainly wouldn't consider myself fine. So there we go.
No comment. I'm going to be nice.
Why?
Because
Really? Are you ever?
It is a new year, but we do actually enjoy doing the show, believe it or not.
We do, yes. Actually, I look forward to all of my Matt interactions. I do.
It's definitely entertaining for me. Yeah.
I mean, it's
especially in these stressful days.
It's entertaining for me. I enjoy. It's like, what will Matt say this time? You know.
Oh yes, definitely.
Which thing will he badger or knock on this time? You know, it's kind of like
that. It's only the things
always
you like.
Open Sousa.
Well, that's a given. And besides, I only knock and badger the things that Nate likes. I don't badger and knock on the things Wendy likes.
To be fair, you have commented on the fact that you don't really care about robotics and that you don't enjoy 3D printing. So you'd have said that you do tune out for those conversations. But yes, I get where you're coming from.
That's because Matt is mildly boring. He doesn't like the exciting stuff in life. He's like, while Wendy, while you and I, we enjoy the real hearty meat, steak, potatoes and veggies. Steak. He's kind of on the technology Twinkie train.
Yes, says the guy who also eats the Twinkies with things like the Steam Deck and the Atari VCS that he refuses to acknowledge that he actually bought. You're welcome.
What? I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I clicked out there for a bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I do for robotics and other stuff. Let you guys have your fun.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Anyway, all that aside, Nate, what have you
fall off topic already?
Yeah, we always do. We never really make it through the intro without falling off topic.
That might have been my fault, but I'm not going to.
No, it was.
Okay, well, that's fair. So I'm really excited this year. Santa Retro Claus brought me a great gift, and I think Matt, I've already sent you pictures of it. And it was a big time soldering project, and I'm very I was super excited about this. But it is an IMSAI 8080 replica. So this is like a computer from 1975, and the way this thing actually would be programmed before he had screens. Basically, you would actually input by binary. So this actually represents a byte, and this represents a byte, essentially, of information. And then you can run programs and whatnot, and pause them, whatever. So it was quite the intense soldering project to do. A little bit beyond my general skill set, actually. I mean, yes, I do solder, but it's just not my main thing. And this runs off of an ESP32. You can serial console into it and everything else. It's got some jumpers there for different modes and whatnot. But what it does do, like at this time, it's actually running a small it's an ESP32, so it's got Wi-Fi and whatnot, which the original AMSAI 8080 obviously did not have because there wasn't Wi-Fi at the time. But what it does have is you can using like a browser of your choice. I've been using Firefox. They do say if they support Chrome, if anything else works, they said thumbs up basically. But anyway, so after 10 hours of soldering this thing, which was lots of fun, I started on Sunday, finished it on Monday sometime, and you can. Let me back up here. It has like a web interface basically, so you can actually mount different tape drives or hard drives or disk drives, whatever, virtually inside of it. You can actually interface with some of these buttons here, also virtually as well. And actually, my kids already enjoy playing with this thing. They like how clicky it is.
Yes, gotta love the click.
It's nice and clicky. So these, I guess, are real mechanical switches. I don't know. Anyway, So I basically know nothing about the IMSAI 8080 other than this is a replica of the computer that Matthew Broderick used in the movie War Games, which is why I think it's so cool. Not Whopper, not the do you want to play a game? Not that one. The one that he used to hack into a school and everything else. So so that's what this is. And that's kind of its claim to fame, I would say, in my mind anyway. So it does have a version of CPM on it, which is like kind of pre-DOS essentially, or what DOS was basically copied, MS-DOS copied. I know how to do nothing on it yet. But this was the most fun soldering project I've ever had. Usually it's like trying to fix something. This was just assembling it. The instructions were very well laid out. It's even probably easier if you're not a moron like myself. But anyway, the surface mount devices were probably the most challenging. What are you going to say, Matt? Go ahead and say it. Whatever you're going to say.
I was going to say that's probably wasn't the only challenging thing.
My lack of soldering skills. Anyway, so the surface mount devices were a bit of a challenge, like the the SD card reader, whatever that was on there. You have to. It's a technique called drag soldering. It's like a little solder on the end of the soldering iron, and then you basically drag it across the contacts. I used probably way too much flux because it was a real big pain to clean up. But it's supposed to be like no cleanup flux, but it's quite the opposite as I clean and clean and clean and clean. So maybe the cleanup flux is even more clean. Anyway, it's Santa Retro Claus brought it to me, so we'll just leave it at that. But it came from Australia, and it took a while. Like I put my name in the queue basically in June, and I got it in Santa brought it to me in December. So
wow.
Anyway, it was pretty exciting to work on. I really enjoyed it. I would say my soldering skills, and the way when I say it like that, it makes me think of Napoleon Dynamite. My post staff skills are way better now. Like, I mean, I started out like kind of struggling, and by the end of it, I got pretty quick. And so, if nothing else, just for the exercise of like soldering together something, this project was just worth it if you want to really enhance that. And there's some other like retro computer replicas that he offers, but it's from thehighNibble.com. I'll make sure you have a link for the show notes.
Nice.
And so even if I don't do anything like really take the time to really learn the computer, all I really want to do with this thing is have it do its little blinky stuff. Like I was messing with it, just having it so like when I ran a program that it just started like just kind of doing some blinking nonsense basically. And that's all I really want it to do and sit in my office at work. So when somebody comes by, I can say, yeah, this is what runs the place. So well, it's more likely that's what runs Cubicle Labs. But anyway, so that was my really big exciting thing over the holiday time.
Well, it sounds like it was a really cool project. It's great that you were able to hone some of those skills as far as soldering goes. It's not a skill that I have either, but I haven't really had much need for it. There was a vehicle of ours that I thought was going to need some soldering work done because I just couldn't get a replacement board for the back of it. So the back of the car had cool air, but it didn't have heat. It's, kind of December. So I thought some work was going to happen on that. But then the transmission went out on it on the way to Robotics. So it's not worth the money to put a transmission in that vehicle. And it's just junkyard scrap at this point and searching for a new vehicle. I was on the freeway and thankfully no one was around when it happened and we were able to pull over and all of that fun stuff. But I don't need to solder anything on that anymore because just the whole thing's in the junkyard.
So what you're saying is the problem worked itself out.
Right.
Literally.
The problem worked itself out.
In about the most literal sense possible.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yes.
Well, that's pretty awesome. I don't know, like maybe not for the Lego robotics, but the higher end stuff, they might need, those soldering might be more needed there. Maybe, I don't know. I have a really nice rework station that I got on eBay some time ago. And, and I really like it because it's got the heat gun part. So I can do like surface mount devices a little easier, whatever. I didn't do that for putting them on, but I did it I could do it for taking off the devices. So, but I've used that for largely I use it for shrink tubing, which is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, gotcha. And I haven't had to do too much of that in general. And I don't necessarily think that they do, because most of the stuff that they're wiring together has connections, at least at this point. Maybe FRC has some soldering, but I doubt it, because they can buy whole pieces off the internet where, so we can buy individual motors, but if they were going to build or wanted to use a swerve drive, they've had to build the swerve drive instead. On the topic of robotics in general, we are now in January. We are on the final stages before state, and there's so much going on prep work wise for that. I really didn't want to be writing a whole bunch of code right now as we're going into state, but yeah, we are writing a ton of code at the moment. Nothing has really gone to plan this year. And it seems like our robot can't go for a long time before we have to plug it in, let it fully charge, and then continue on the coding, because it starts doing some funny things. So that's a little bit of an issue that's holding us back. And then the FTC team is doing really pretty good. So if you don't remember, I'm now helping with 2 robotics teams, the FLL team, which has its state coming up on January 14th. So this show will drop the week of state. And then the FTC team has their state the beginning of February. And I can't remember exactly what that date is, but they are busy working on that robot. There's only 3 kids on the team. All 3 of them come from the FLL team. 2 of those team members are my kids. Like, I literally have 2/3 of the new rookie FTC team, but they're doing great. They have a chassis put together, and they're putting together the arm, which is going to pick up the pixels. That's the game element this year. It's going to pick up the pixels and then deposit them on.
Because pixels, so pixels for me are probably a little bit larger than pixels for Matt, because I'm 320 by 200. He's more.
Have to share
1080p.
I'll actually have to share the STL file, because you can print some of the game elements for this year. So I'll have to send them to you so that you can actually see what they look like. But that's what they're calling them. They're calling them pixels as these different game elements. And the whole theme for all of FIRST Robotics is STEAM, so arts and technology. So where their game is set up is you pick up these colored pixels and you take them to the back wall, which they're calling a stage, and you set them up on the stage. If you have 3 colors together, then that's points, and you can't have any of the colored pixels together unless you align them with white. So they become their own little element on the overall backdrop. One of the other game parts is in endgame, so that last 30 seconds, you can shoot a paper airplane and or hang from the stage door, which is really pretty cool. So the kids don't necessarily have a way to shoot the airplane yet, but they do have an idea of how they're going to make the robot hang from the back door, and have a pretty good idea how they are moving those pixels back and forth. Originally, they wanted that last little arm, which is grabbing the pixels, to be made out of metal. And it didn't take them very long in trying to fabricate that, realizing that just isn't going to work. There's going to be too many bits and ends and bobs on that are restricting and difficult to use for the purpose. So they now want to CAD this thing. The rough part is that I don't know anything about CAD. I do have, what was the one you mentioned?
The Onshape. There's also
Onshape.
If you use Windows, you can use Fusion 360, which is really good, but you have to use Windows.
I don't. But the kids can get an education license for Fusion for 360 and have a full version of it, but then you have to be able to run it on a Windows machine, which is not something I'm thrilled about. So I do like Onshape because we can run it from a browser. I have made myself an account with that, and I started going through like some of the basic educational stuff, but I'm not very far into it. And they need to have this built and running, not only like prototyped, but prototyped and working by the time we come to February when they have state. They have a scrimmage at the end of this month, so it'd be really nice for it to be fully working by then. And then if they're realizing, hey, we need to make some tweaks and changes, be able to do that and have a finished product. So on my to-do list of
Right.
many, many things to do is learning how to CAD. And you, thankfully, before we started the show, offered your services and helping us learn to CAD and helping us figure out how we're going to build this arm. So I will be meeting with you after the show to schedule one of the times that I'm at the build room. Like I said, I pretty much live there. I'm either here at my desk or I'm at the build room. That's where you can find me. Those are the two places I live. My desk has been cleaned off recently, so there's not too many dishes, cups on it at the moment. But yeah, you can definitely tell how long Wendy's lived here by how much stuff like gets stacked up on the desk. Ugh.
Yeah, I understand that. And not to derail from that, but like I've taken the time to clean the space behind me. Except I got to put that away. That's propyl alcohol. Anyway, but yeah, every once in a while I got to take the time to do that. But yeah, so I'm not necessarily the best when it comes to, understanding maybe necessarily the linkages or the robotic arm, making the best design for an arm. You might have to take that from somebody else, but I can at least show you the basic principles that are required for good CAD modeling. Like the order in which you should do things. So, and not every CAD, I mean, the way I like to do it is not necessarily how everybody else would want to do it, but I like to start from primitives, make sure the modeling is more robust and such that if you make a change to somewhere in the tree, because it's a parametric model, that it doesn't screw things up. So you don't necessarily want your rounds and your fillets to be one of your early design elements, because
Gotcha.
but if you have or I should say chamfers and fillets, but you want to make like the design, your primitive or whatever that it is, and then you so make it flexible enough so like if you need to make it longer or wider or whatever to adjust the design, that it doesn't break other things. So a lot of times a little bit of math sometimes is necessary, like some mathematic parameters, and that not necessary. You don't have to do it that way, but as far as like good design practices, I can kind of guide in that regard. And then what we could do is just say, I want to make a thing, whatever that thing might be, and we can do it together. And then once you just kind of understand those little basic things and where the picks and the clicks are, then you're pretty much good to go after that. And the way OnShape does it's a little bit different than how FreeCAD does it. Like one thing that's really different with OnShape to FreeCAD is if you make a change or you need to like modify the design, it doesn't blow up. So that's really nice with OnShape. And so I wish
what I don't want. Yeah, I don't want it to blow up. I want them to be able to go and tweak and change it and not be like, holy crap, all of our work just went out the window.
Right.
Because then they're not going to want to do that. And they're not going to want to continue with robotics. Yeah.
Right. And we don't want that at all. So I'm hoping and praying that FreeCAD will eventually be more like that, because I would love to use a completely open source, free, run locally thing, but just I can't spend half my time doing design work or reworking things because the engine couldn't keep references. So, but anyway, OnShape does it really well, and I enjoy it. You can export stuff very easily, and it's great.
Cool. And they can tell you exactly what they want to do. They've already taken some measurements and stuff for things that they want. So some of that might need to be tweaked a little bit to make it fit properly. So I should have STL files for both the Pixel, and I'm pretty sure we can get all the sizing measurements for the little micro servos that they're going to be using to operate the arms on there. The robot chassis moves. My daughter's the one who did the code. They're coding in Java for FTC. She's got all of the basic code for the chassis in already, and they're using these really cool wheels, mechanism wheels, and so they can move in every single direction, which is super awesome. That was interesting to learn how to power those and make them work. I might have to drop a link to the ones that they're using in the show description so you can see what they look like. But it means that the robot can only move forward and backwards and its regular turns, but it can literally move in diagonals on the field, which makes it highly maneuverable. And when you have a field that looks massive when it's just one robot on there. It looks tiny when you have 4 robots moving on it. And then in this case, for this game, where you pick up the pixels for your team is on the opposite side of the field of where the stage is that you're putting those pixels on. So the robots are having to cross paths. And if you run into another robot that doesn't work in this, you actually get penalty points for that, or you give the other team points by hitting them. So how do you stay highly maneuverable, be able to stop and still get to where you need to be? So I will definitely be taking you up on that offer. We'll figure out a time here soon in order to do that. So Matt, you can go ahead and wake up now and tell us all about how your minis form is hopefully working now, right?
No. So the short version of that is I didn't even expect him to respond to getting it sent back at this point, because short version, they have a 24-month warranty, and I use that term very loosely. Yet they want you to send video and all the other stuff of like it not working. And I'm like, dog, the thing, like the screen don't turn on, nothing works. Like, here's the port, here's Thunderbolt, nothing, like it don't work. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So back before the holiday, they finally messaged me back saying, oh, you can send it back for a replacement. What they didn't tell you was, do I need to send all the crap back that came with the original purchase? So now I don't know if I need to send the stylus back, the power cord, and all the other nonsense that goes with it. Yeah. So it's like, can y'all like figure stuff out? It's kind of annoying, not gonna lie. So I'm kind of going back and forth with them on that right now. Short version is they at least have a fulfillment center supposedly in Texas, so it's at least in the States. So
nice.
I've been approved for a fixer model, but because of all the sketchy things, shall we say, about that particular machine that they've just decided doesn't exist, according to their website, which is maddeningly annoying. But something that also is not working is something that I did pick up for super cheap.
What do you mean it's not working?
I'll get to that in a second.
Okay. All right.
No, I'll get to that.
Sorry, I didn't.
Did Magneto come visit you?
Magneto being anywhere in the same room as technology, it doesn't matter which one. he can be in the room via camera and still break technology. So
he's not home yet, but I'll let you know when he shows up so we can end the show now.
So this is the OneXPlayer Mini Pro. This is a Ryzen 7 6800U. So it's 8-core, 16 thread, 32 gigs of RAM, a terabyte SSD, and a Radeon 680M. Cool, awesome. Runs on a 1280 by 800, so very Steam Deck in its size.
Yeah.
As far as that. Problem is, this ran Windows.
Well, I thought that was the big reason to get it, so you don't have to deal with the Steam Proton difficulties.
No, so this was a $200 purchase. This, normally for this particular model, goes for about $800. Ooh. Because of spec.
Okay.
Specifically. So
by that you mean it's spec'd a lot better, or it's it?
So the base model that you would get for a refurb from OneXPlayer goes for about $600 with 16 gigs and a 512 SSD.
Wow.
I got this for about 75% the cost of a similar spec new unit. One problem, hardware wise.
Just one problem?
Well, the Windows problem's taken care of because the Windows ain't on it no more. For about the third time. The joysticks are a problem. They have the Linux and Windows. It's a problem on both.
Okay.
Because right now Chimera OS is installed on this. But because of the joystick issue, I'm not messing around with it. I will give OneXPlayer credit. They actually sell replaceable thumbsticks a la Steam Deck that you can buy to replace stick drift and all that stuff. I ended up buying the Hall's Effects ones to replace the ones that are in here. I bought both because I was like, well, if I'm going to replace one, I might as well replace them both.
Right.
It's kind of like a car tire kind of deal. they were $15 a piece, which
That's not bad.
isn't well. So here's my gripe, though.
For Halifax, it's not
$15
bad.
Well, the $15 became $25 because of shipping.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
It was $30 for the pair and $20 for the shipping. Which
gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
well,
that's a little painful.
I could have looked through Amazon, but I much preferred to buy directly from the seller.
Sure.
And with Amazon,
Right.
you never know about duplicate stores and if the stuff's going to fit, blah, 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 like all that stuff. So all in, once I get that fixed, it's going to be about $250 that I'm in on spec wise for this machine.
Yeah, but you're still way below the $800 initial price. So yeah, I think you're doing fine.
Right.
Yeah.
But it sucks that the experience that it comes with is so poor. It's so poor that you reinstalled Windows more than once trying to fix whatever was going on with it and then just gave up.
So this shipped with Windows 11 and all the little accoutrements that, don't even get me started on that. But this shipped with all the third-party accoutrements to try to make this like a bearable experience on Windows.
Okay.
It's not possible, folks. Just the way the third-party tack-ons that you would normally get integrated with the Steam Deck feel very tacked on, ironically how it feels. I had to use like the hardware, just as an example, to install Windows. You think it would do, landscape on the install, right? Windows, figure that. No, it does it this way.
That makes no sense.
It does it in portrait. Like even Linux figures that out. Like
right. Well, I mean, like most screens are used in portrait mode or landscape mode anyway, not portrait. So it would make sense that it would default to landscape and not portrait.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. The mobile device, so it's thinking like tablet?
It's probably a gyroscope. I'm just guessing because these do have gyroscopes in them.
Could be.
So I'm assuming that it thinks it's because of the gyroscope that it's this way. But still, the fact that one OS that it's designed for can't figure the crap out, but the OS that it's not designed for can figure the crap out says a lot.
Right. Yeah, there is that.
But no, Windows. I go ahead, Nate.
I was gonna say, all right. So I've had to recently use the Windows 11 installer, and it's a little bit ham-fisted. I mean, it's not very. I mean, it's not awful. I think I've used worse installers, but it's definitely at the bottom of install experiences. Just by the sheer fact that like if you have newer hardware right now, you have to do like tricks in the BIOS just so like it doesn't fall all over itself to like fall back to older states, whatever. So Windows 11 is already outdated as far as I'm concerned. It's already sold. Installer.
So here's the
provided by
great
Microsoft
thing about this. Here's the great thing about this. Because I had a Windows restart, Windows, whatever, clean install from like within Windows itself, it wouldn't do it at all with the install that was shipped on this. So so I had to clean install Windows. You want to talk about painful?
Yeah, of course.
When you have to use, so here's my take with Windows. When you have when you have to use IOBit's driver booster application because Windows can't figure out drivers and people want to complain about drivers on Linux. Yet, guess what? The D-pad actually works out of the box in Chimera OS. Doesn't work on Windows.
That's crazy.
That is the experience of Windows on this is so painful. Now you can talk about people wanting like, EAC games and all the other stuff, and that's great. But the default shipping experience on this particular device and Windows in general on these small of a screens for 20 years, you mean to tell me they still can't figure out how to do an OS that doesn't suck on a small screen device?
Well, they really haven't had to, have they? I mean, they had that Windows. I mean, they had that Windows phone thing for a while, but they never got it dialed in on that one. So,
ironically, the Windows Phone OS is actually based off the Microsoft Zune OS, And that has been the best touch interface Microsoft has ever come up with for a sub 7-inch screen or 10-inch screen. Everything else has been garbage. You've had netbooks, you've had touchscreen netbooks, you've had all this other stuff, and you still can't figure it out.
It's not a priority.
Microsoft, get your crap together. So
it's not a priority. I mean, if they're not going to make they're probably just not going to make their money on that, so they just don't care.
Well, no, and that's the thing. So, like, when these guys like OneXPlayer and GDP and all these other people, Windows is just a better alternative. I'm not limited. And it was like, yeah, cool. You can use an eGPU on this. That's awesome. What's the experience like? Oh, I got to boot into big picture mode anyway. So you might as well just get the Steam Deck at that point. I'm talking strictly UX. These are terrible with Windows.
So how does it run with Linux on there then with Chimera OS? Does it actually run pretty well? I mean, is it performance wise? It's probably not dialed in. It's not tweaked like the Steam OS is for the Steam Deck. So I'm sure there's probably some.
Well, so here's the thing I like about Chimera OS. They actually have the hardware. So they actually test the hardware on this.
Oh, nice.
Novel. So you can go to the Chimera OS website, look at this specific device, and they'll tell you what works and what doesn't work right on the website.
What doesn't work?
The two things that currently don't work is eGPU support because of how Chimera OS is. Well, it's a question mark. So, but that's more of a Chimera OS development end of things. You can probably get into it with some stuff. It's not going to work with mine because it's NVIDIA and they dropped NVIDIA support because it didn't play nice with GameScope.
Okay.
Shock. And the other thing is a micro SD card. And the only reason the micro SD card doesn't work is it doesn't have one. So everything works basically, except for the eGPU support, which is questionable.
Well, okay, forgive me on this one, but I thought the whole purpose of a handheld is so that you're portable. You can't have an eGPU and be portable.
So to me, this is kind of like what Mark Shuttleworth was selling with the Ubuntu phone. Plug it in, dock it, you have a little more oomph or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
That's kind of what these to me are. So like,
sure,
you have a portable device for gaming, yes, but you can plug this in via Thunderbolt or USB, whatever, 4 or 5, whatever one they're going to be up to, and you can just have a higher gaming experience on a bigger screen.
Sure,
that's it. That's all it's for to me. Okay. So it's kind of like when you drop the Switch into the dock, it has a little more performance and a little more oomph to it than when it's in handheld mode. That's how I view them. And I think that experience is totally valid and fine.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can have one gaming device, I guess. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, more or less. And unfortunately, I have multiple gaming devices.
Unfortunately.
But yes, for my wallet, very much unfortunately. So while I'm messing around with hardware and, complaining about software experiences and all that stuff, Nate, it looks like you're trying to mess around with a remote desktop on Wayland.
Yes, I didn't even write remote desktop, but yet you nailed it. Way to go, Matt. Anyway, yes. So one of the things that I have been messing around with a lot, just because of my where my employment has taken me, is I have to do a lot more remote desktop, remote type things. And I thought to myself, like, I set up a couple of 4 Raspberry Pi computers that are running a thing that allows for tracking reservations in the warehouse for when trucks are coming in or stuff like that. And so one of the things I had to do is I had to set these things up so that I could VNC into those very easily. And so it took actually a little bit of finagling as far as getting it dialed in exactly the way I wanted, because there's so many different ways you can configure VNC, and most of them are the ways I don't want to configure them because that doesn't work for me. And anyway, so it's like a matter of finding the right way of doing it. I got it exactly the way I want it, and it works great. So the Pis in Michigan are installed and doing their thing. The Pis that are going to Texas arrived in Texas, and apparently no one has thought to plug them in yet. It's okay. They just arrived. They were chopping at the bit for them, but yet they haven't done anything with it. But anyway, the point is, I have to be able to VNC into these things just to check, just to make sure things are going right. I just, it's part of my everything that I'm responsible for. I want to be able to hop into them very quickly and I'm going to go into a second part of this a little bit here too. But so anyway, I thought to myself, well, I'm running a lot of Wayland systems now, and I can't do the remote desktop or VNC, whatever, into a Wayland system very cleanly at this point. But that is not entirely true anymore. There is something called Krdp. It's a flat pack. I'll make sure to get you a link to the information. Actually, I'm writing an article on cubeglade.com because I'm so excited. So I'll probably just give you that. I should have that article done this week for sure.
Sweet.
It's mostly done. But basically it's still in alpha stages, but it works well enough that I can use it. And it typically doesn't crash. But I did have it actually crash Wayland KWin, which was kind of funny. I laughed really hard when that happened. So don't do that. But anyway, it works. It's being worked on. It's actively being worked on. The folks from the KDE team are making sure this will work. So I think this only works with KDE at this point. I don't think it works with any other Wayland-based desktops. But Krdp, it's a flat pack. It installs. You just got to open up the port on your firewall if you have a firewall running. And it does its thing. So in testing it, I RDP'd from a Windows system into it just to see if I could. And it worked. It brought up the desktop. And actually, I was amazed. I have a lot of goofy effects on my my Plasma desktop. So like wobbly windows.
You're one of those people.
Yes. I got the magic lamp thing. I like the magic lamp. I think it looks cool. It makes me happy. I know it's an Apple thing, the magic lamp. I get it, but I like it. I can say I like something, and I can say I don't like something. It's all right. Anyway, so I was amazed by through the RDP how crisp and responsive it was with the the Wayland desktop. And I'm like, I've never experienced that kind of a performance before. And as I'm clicking around and doing stuff, and I started messing with it, and then I crashed it. So up until the point of crashing, it works great. I don't know how they're compressing the information, but it looks way better than anything else I've used through some sort of remote protocol. So Krdp with Wayland is almost phenomenal. Once I get to that beta, almost phenomenal. I mean, it's there. It's on the cusp of being absolutely perfect. And if they can integrate that into the Plasma, desktop, that will pretty much make it, the cat's pajamas right there. Now they are focusing on RDP because it's more universal, even though it's more of a Windows protocol thing. And but yeah, it truly is pretty great. So that's what I got to say about that, and I'm pretty pumped because it works.
That's nice. It's nice that it kind of fills that gap for you, that you're able to avoid Windows now even more and be able to access the stuff that you need to. So it kind of sounds like your job is a whole lot of just checking on different systems and making sure that they're running properly and doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
Right?
And also so when things kind of, how do I say this nicely?
Go haywire?
Sideways. I was going to say something else, but
there
sideways.
You go.
I was going to say something the bed, but sideways. When things go sideways, you got to be able to fix it quickly. And so I had an issue. This is the Friday before Christmas. A system in Texas went down. And so I went and I've already talked to this software vendor who actually built the thing, and I'm working with them on on getting some answers. But essentially what happened was it runs Apache and then something called Apache Tomcat. I don't really know what the difference is between the two. I should look into it. And but it runs on Windows Server. And so what happens is, and this is something really weird where all of a sudden it just maxes out the CPU and the whole thing locks up. And this is the main software system that the database actually runs on a separate VM. But the actual the management piece of it's there are trucks coming in doing their thing at every 15 to 20 minutes. And so if that software goes down, if that system goes down, things don't move. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it took me an hour and 45 minutes to get this thing back up because it was so uncooperative. Basically what I had to do is I had to force kill the thing, which is a no-no. It's a no-no in Linux, and it's especially a no-no in Windows. I had to force kill the thing and then bring it back up, and eventually it did what it's supposed to. But going through all the steps trying to do it correctly, it was uncooperative. So I do have a complaint, whatever, ticket in with the, and I'm going to find out why are we running this on Windows. Like I talked to my brother who's a software engineer and about the issue, and he says, and now mind you, he's more of a Windows guy. He says, why would that be running on Windows? You don't, Apache runs way better on Linux. So I would think that you would have that running on a Linux system. I'm like, I don't know. I'll find out. So I did bring it up on this past Wednesday. I had a meeting with my contact. I have a biweekly connect with a representative from the company, and he says, I don't know. I'll find out. And so I don't know yet, but I do. At least I have it out there. And I'm gonna find out.
Gotcha.
When the company that I work for is spending six figures plus on this software, why are we running on something that's a little bit rinky dinky? But anyway,
right.
So I got to be able to get into all these different systems very easily. And what I've actually been doing with that, and this is kind of tangentially talking about the Krdp, is something called Remina. I don't know how it's actually REMMINA. It's for doing, you can do RDP or VNC or whatever into systems with it. There's also something with SSH too that'll do. But it is absolutely the best way that I've figured or have discovered of accessing remote systems remotely like this, because I can predefine a bunch of like different systems, and I can put them in different groups, so I can very easily go to different sites and get to different systems at just click in, click in, and
nice.
it's made my response time in getting into systems and doing what needs to be done so much more so much quicker. I don't have to wait for anything. It's just it's instantaneous basically, as long as I'm on the VPN, and then I can get done what needs to be done, and then I can get out and get on with my life. So anyway, remote desktopping, something I haven't done like a year ago. Didn't do this sort of thing. Didn't care to. I did everything through the terminal, but now that I have to use graphical remote stuff. This has made my life good, way better. So
it's not something that I have to do, but if I ever had to, then I would definitely be looking into this and asking you how to set it up and all of that fantastic stuff. So I'm glad it's made your life easier, and it might even make a listener's life a little bit easier.
Yeah, I have to go into a little more detail on the Remina thing. Remina. I don't know.
Whatever it's called. Yeah.
Cricket. Anyway, I can't pronounce things. So, it really has made doing remote desktoping so much better. In fact, now I have it set up so I can actually get into this system now. I'm using VNC in combination with Tailscale, and I can get into this system right here because I need to get into this system in particular because I have this one doing different things or monitoring different things, and so this is kind of like my gateway instead of my server for reasons. But anyway, so I got different things like set up like that, and actually it's really pretty slick how it works, and I'm thoroughly impressed. Maybe other people wouldn't like it.
Awesome.
But I love it. So speaking of displaying things, Wendy, it looks like you got a new monitor.
I did get a new monitor, and it's part of the reason why I'm back to using the webcam. So my husband heard me complaining about the fact that I needed another monitor. I was using 3. And I needed at least one more. So he got me a monitor for Christmas, and then I had to rearrange my desk. So I don't have a good monitor arm yet. It's one of the things that I hope to be getting here soon. So it'll actually hold all 4 monitors, give a little bit more space on my desk as it is. But now with all 4 and the way that they're arranged, I really don't have a good place to put the camera, and I didn't realize that until I went to go try to reset it up today, and it didn't work. So I'm using the webcam at the moment because that's how we're getting the show done today.
Whatever it takes.
Exactly. Whatever it takes. I'm here. We're getting it done. But it is so nice to have this workflow once again. So yes, I do need all 4 monitors. I know it is excessive to some. I do have the desk space for it, but I think I'd mentioned before that I run DaVinci Resolve on 2 monitors, which is really, really nice. I recently figured out that I can take the video feed and move it to that second monitor. So especially when I'm doing stuff that has lots and lots of different tracks, especially some of the DLs where you'll have the one where they did the interview with the printing.
Mm-hmm.
So there was the 3 regular hosts plus 2 guest hosts. So I had everybody's video track and everybody's audio track. And then I have to overlay the music and other stuff on top of it. And then the effects that go on top of that. Like you end up with a stack of tracks.
Yes.
And then it was making it hard to see what I actually needed to see. So it's nice that I could actually move that video feed onto another monitor and have one monitor be just all of my massive array of flipping tracks and see what I'm doing. So
I was gonna say, Wendy, I told you that being able to see the compositor in a totally separate monitor is totally seeing the end result as you see it scrub through the timeline. People won't understand it until they do it.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, absolutely. And then I usually have the show notes on one monitor so I can keep track of certain things that are going through. And then I'm usually having to take screenshots at the same time. And so it's nice to have a monitor that's just dedicated to screenshots so I can see the editing field, I can see the show notes that I need to reference, and at the same time be able to take whatever screenshots that I need and then pull them in. So this 4-monitor setup is really nice at the moment. I'm sure I could use 5 monitors, but my current graphics card will only take 4. So I'm at my limit for what my graphics card will take, but definitely getting a new monitor on.
There is a way to get more, but I have my graphics system on my framework can only push 4 monitors, but I am pushing 6. So, and I actively use all 6 all the time.
Right.
So it's not.
They're important.
Yeah. You gotta have lots of monitors.
Mm-hmm. I know that I need to get a laptop for doing some different work stuff when I'm not home, some different editing stuff, which will be a firmware or will be a framework laptop. Though when I spec'd one out, holy crap, that got expensive really, really fast. It's not something that's currently on my buy list because obviously I need a new flipping car, but
well, you probably get the 16
it is
then?
on my wish list.
Probably
I want the 16-inch for sure. Yes, I definitely want that real estate on the laptop because I would be using it for some video editing. Obviously, it wouldn't be great for a lot of show stuff, but in a pinch, because when I'm at my other home, the robotics build room, I could at least be able to get some other stuff done. They do have a computer there that I can use. I have installed DaVinci on it, but especially during FTC, that computer can actually be being used by the team because it is the team's computer.
Right.
So it's not mine dedicated to use. I only have access to it if they don't need it. And right now they've needed the heck out of it. So it would be nice to have something to be able to pack with me. And I'd want one of those. But for now, I've got my dedicated desktop and my 4 monitors and getting through. Oh, you may have saw I got some earbuds for Christmas too.
Ooh, look at those.
Yes, last time I tried to use these, I was only getting sound from one side, and I'd have to bang on them in order to get sound from the other side sometimes. Yes, I had let my children borrow these. I don't know if that was the only reason why they started running into issues. I have had them since 2020, which I know is only 3 years, but they have gotten very, very heavy use. They made it on an airplane with me to Texas and back and stuff. So my time with them has not been necessarily gentle use or sitting on the shelf. They've been very heavily used over the last 3 years, going on 3.5 years. So they might continue working well, but these are nice. I like these because I can actually have them on in the car. Yes, I've got the hands-free stuff, but not every conversation that I'm having in the car with people, I want the children to hear both sides of that conversation. So it's really nice that I can have something in my ear instead of going through the stereo.
Especially when it's about them.
So I've been enjoying them. Yes. Yes. Especially when it's about them. It's always about them. No. Um, but yeah, so I'm enjoying this too. I'm enjoying my new monitor. I would eventually like to have all 4 monitors the same size. And so as you're moving things back and forth, then it makes it a little bit more seamless. But at this point, just getting them up on a monitor arm, I think is going to make a big difference. Being able to make sure that all of them are fully adjustable and they're comfortable whether I'm sitting or standing. It's been quite a while since we've had a game. And of course, you didn't fail us this time, but I'm a little disappointed in what the game is about. And go ahead, pull my geek card. I don't care.
Whoa.
Not a Star Wars fan.
Whoa. What you're saying is
Yes.
you do not like Star Wars?
That is what I'm saying, yes.
Cool.
I know Michael's always like, how dare you? And I'm like, yeah, I don't like it.
No,
or Star Trek, I know.
Here's the thing. It's like, some people like certain beverages, adult beverages, and when you have mature taste and whatnot, and like if I had to choose between like a beer, glass of wine, or a bowl of chocolate Moose Tracks ice cream, 10 times out of 10 I'm going for that Moose Tracks ice cream because I'm like, that's delicious. This other stuff tastes like rotten fruit or grain.
Fooey.
So, I mean, every once in a while.
Date night for us, for me and Magneto, is going to one of our favorite local microbreweries. And Sam.
See? And you have mature tastes. Yeah. I have the taste of a 12-year-old. That's fine. When it comes to movies, I have a taste of a 12-year-old.
It's all good.
That's all good.
There you go.
So I like Star Wars.
No, as far as overall, like, I don't know. People are gonna like what they're gonna like Nate's saying.
Right. Yep.
I'm sure you're probably more. I'm guessing more Lord of the Rings if you could fall into that end of the spectrum.
I do. I do actually enjoy Lord of the Rings. Like if you've been following my Mastodon, I've been trying to hit the Silmarillion and struggling with that one a little bit, mostly because
there.
It's the names, like keeping track of the names. I am horrible with names. I'm absolutely horrible with names. I tell people when I meet them, I'm sorry, I'll remember your face, but I won't remember your name. And then you're dealing with all of these like complex names inside the book. And I'm like, right, I'm trying, but I'm struggling.
Here's your exposition dump, what is it? Like it's almost 1,000 pages if I remember correctly. It's a big book.
I'm doing the audio version because I'm an audiobook person, but yeah.
Especially if you're driving a lot. Yeah, I don't like reading and driving. It's really difficult because like you got to put it above the speedometer,
right,
and you don't know how fast you're going.
People getting in the way.
Right? Yeah. People get these red lights.
How
people
dare
slow down, and it makes it really hard to read a book, especially when you're in their back seat.
So the game that I chose anyway to go with Wendy's lack of geek cred is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And this is actually takes place about 5 years. This will be your geek portion of this.
Okay.
Takes place 5 years after Revenge of the Sith. So it's still Order 66 and the fallout from that and all that stuff. You play a surviving Padawan. I'm probably going to
play a surviving Michael. I do know that much from Hardware Addicts.
Cal Kestis is the actual name of the character that you play. But it's got some nice calls. It's got like the Night Sisters from Dathomir is on there. So for those that are fans of like Rebels and kind of the more animated stuff, that's on there. There's just a lot of nice, like, if you're super uber into Star Wars, there's nice little calls here and there. But if you're not into Star Wars,
good fan service.
It's saying,
right?
Yeah. So it's a fun lightsaber, sci-fi / fantasy, just action game. So you really don't need to be into Star Wars to actually really enjoy it, which is nice. But I mean, you get like Jedi powers and, you can do like force push, force pull, all that kind of stuff. But like, it's not so deep into it where it's like a normal non-Star Wars fan isn't going to like it. The reason I chose this specific game, though, is you can generically get it for about $6.
Oh, now I like that.
Yeah. That
So when this goes on sale specifically, it is about a $6 game. Nate, you'll like this because it's Steam Deck verified. So
it is not a
that.
$6 game right now, at least
Right.
not on Steam.
No,
it's 40,
Steam-
so you got to wait for those sales.
Yeah. It's the Steam sales and that kind of stuff will make it super cheap.
It says
because
it's
there's
playable.
Oh, okay. So then it's changed then. But either
Okay.
I don't know. I was playing on desktop Linux, so
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you. The biggest thing that I can say for the Linux experience is you will see a lot of shader compiling. So there's new areas, is some stutter when you first get into them, but once you're actually in them, it's fine. That's more because of how the world is built. It's more open arena as far as like how it's made.
Okay.
It's not open world per se, but it, like the travel mechanics and that stuff are very kind of give it a more vertical feel and kind of a bigger world feel to it. But again, I just like this game. I just got done beating it. This is actually the second game this year that I've beaten already. So for me,
this year, in 2024?
24, yeah. This is the second game I've
No
beaten.
way.
Well, the last game I played was like 5 hours long, so it was literally like 2 days, and it was like I only had a couple hours every. So this one was actually one that I had started at one point, maybe got about 4 hours into it, and I was like, I actually have a day off. I'm just gonna sit here and play this game. Well, that day off became the entire day.
That's all you did. Yeah.
So adulting did not happen, but
hey, we all need days like that.
Yeah.
Generically, this gameplay length is about anywhere from 15 to 20 hours, so it can be fairly long or fairly short depending on how you decide to play it. But again, I just enjoyed it overall, and the fact that you can get it super cheap. You do need a little bit beefier hardware, Nate, than normal, but because it requires, I think it's like a 50 gig install, so it's not a small game. But
yeah, 55 gigs available space. Oh, really?
But
that's not little.
At a $6 price point, if you're a Star Wars fan, this is done by the guy Respawn, EA. So, and I don't mean early access. I mean Electronic Arts, which is usually like the evil empire, ironically.
Well, you can get
this case,
it's included with EA Play, starting at $4.99 a month. That was not an endorsement, by the way.
Speaking of EA, I know this is off topic. We'd never do that. But the kids got a steering wheel for Christmas to play games on. Mm-hmm. And the one game my daughter wanted to play with the steering wheel is the one game that EA says no steering wheel.
Shock.
Huh.
But that doesn't surprise me. It's EA.
Yeah. She was not happy.
Electronic Arts in the 80s was a fantastic organization. Apparently, it's just not anymore.
Nate, you could say the same thing about Activision in the 80s too.
Activision, in the Pitfall 2. Come on, those are some of the best that Activision's ever done.
I was actually thinking of some of their FMV games from the early 90s. I actually liked a lot of Activision games from the FMV games. I don't
know that I recall any from those.
Spycraft and a few others that are... but anyway, this particular game again is more EA doesn't actively do a lot of the dumb things EA does. So there's no microtransactions as one. So literally all the content in the game is the content in the game. There's no silly nonsense that EA does where it's like, oh, here's a bunch of loot crates and loot boxes and gambling for gamers. So this is you pay the cost of the game and all the content's there, which is
nice,
fantastic. They do this. This is the thing I like about Respawn specifically. They did this with their other game, Titanfall 2, and they also did it with. There's a second game in this series, which is Jedi Survivor. They also didn't do any of the typical EA isms and do all the stupid crap. So I believe in rewarding developers who actually understand that customers don't want to be nickeled and dimed to death.
Exactly. They don't want to be nickel and dimed to death. And then it drives me nuts when the kids are like, hey, can I get this game? And I'm like, no, because it's got stuff inside of it. Then you have to buy as well. And we're not doing that. I'm not playing that game. Nope.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know, speaking as a gamer, that my biggest gripe is the sports games, as an example. Like that's the prime example of like what content portions of the games that are lopped off just so that they can sell them at a later date, or features and functions locked behind paywalls, or that the 2K is infamously famous for this, where it's like the WWE games that they put out. The grind on those games to actually unlock you can unlock the content in the game, but how many years do I have to play this game to actually unlock like a new move or a cosmetic or something?
And Among Us changed that. So they did have like additional packs that you could buy, which they weren't super expensive for stuff. And now you can actually earn them through the game better. One thing that I'm not happy with, and I'm not sure whether it is an Among Us thing or it's probably more an Xbox thing, is you can buy the game on Xbox, but unless you have their premium subscription, you can't play the game. Because you have to have their premium subscription in order to.
Oh no! So no, that's an you're talking Xbox, but that's Xbox Live Gold or whatever. Whatever that.
So you can't play Among Us with your friends unless you have a subscription to Xbox.
Right.
Yes. It's very much a gating.
And they still charge you $5 for the game, but then it's useless after you buy it, unless you have the subscription.
Yeah,
that's a Microsoft. When we figured that
that's a Microsoft problem.
Good job, Microsoft.
To be.
Wait to stick it to your customers again.
Yeah, so in fairness,
but if you want to sponsor something like that.
Now, in fairness, that's actually dependent on the developer too.
Is it
because Sony has something?
I just want to blame Microsoft.
Well, Sony has something similar where, like, certain games that are free to play, like Warframe as an example, you can free to play on PlayStation, and it's a multiplayer game. But most of like the Sony developed games that have multiplayer are behind a paywall to actually play with other players,
other people.
So, Nate, unfortunately, the days of the PS3 and the free multiplayer, which is what I loved about Sony at that time, is long gone. That's why we.
Well, then why not just play on PC or mobile where you're not stuck in a subscription?
Right? I was watching. Okay, sorry to sidetrack this again. So the Gamer Nexus.
Still,
you've heard of Gamer Nexus, but he had Wendell on.
Yes.
Yep, and he had Wendell on from Level 1 Techs. Level 1 Tech. Level 1 Techs. Anyway,
yeah, Level 1 Tech.
And by the way, Wendell's really lost a lot of weight. Have you noticed that? Good for him. Anyway, so they were talking about doing. About gaming, obviously, Gamers Nexus. And they were actually complaining about like kind of how Sony and Microsoft have been 1984ing your content as far as like pulling it back and whatnot. And like you pay for something and they're like, well, you only rented it for a really long time. And I think that's
right.
And basically they were underscoring the benefits of owning your own media. Yep.
Right.
And And also, tangentially, they didn't really say it necessarily, but like Steam or Valve has much better policies with Steam as far as like once you buy the content, you keep that content, and even if they stop selling it, it's still available for you. And so little things like that Valve makes, they're kind of the in between. I mean, if they go evil, I'm going to be really upset because I think they're the shining beacon of the benefits of internet. And owning your media kind of in a mix here because you actually can own it and you actually download it to your local, whatever. You can actually move it to another device without a problem. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like they're doing it right. But yeah, no, owning your media. Anyway, the point of it was Level 1 Tech or Wendell and Gamer Nexus. I can't remember his name. They were just saying that they've noticed that people have been getting really upset with different subscription services because they finally got some time to sit down and watch a thing and now it's not available anymore. And,
right.
And so there's a little bit of a sense of, kind of what I've been feeling for basically all my adult computery life.
There's pushback.
Yes,
finally.
just pushback finally on
Yes.
on these streaming services.
Well, the thing about so the initial pitch for streaming services was a la carte. You have access to everything. That was the whole initial pitch.
Right.
They have become cable.
Yep.
They have become what they
Yes.
didn't want to be.
Right. They become everything that you didn't want. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the a la carte is going away essentially. And the thing that I love, so Nate, to your point about Valve, the thing I love about Valve, there are games that I have on my account that are no longer listed for sale. They've been pulled down by the publisher. Some of the games are questionable as far as like the legalities of them, but I still have access to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because you bought them and Steam makes that available to you.
Their end user license policy is actually customer focused, not business focused.
So I give Valve a lot more of a pass when it comes to, unlike these things where you're renting it essentially, hoping that they're going to let perpetuity licenses don't exist. And I give Valve a little more credit because they haven't done anything where like if they delist a game, I can still download the thing.
Right.
The moment that goes away, then you start calling them out on it. I mean, this is why I back up a lot of my GOG stuff because like it's cool, awesome, like DRM free, great, awesome. But like in case that stuff goes away, I would prefer to, keep being able to actually own it and download it. So I get it. This is also why I have 3 backups of, not counting that stuff, but like digital media, like the digital media that I have for like HTPC stuff, I have 3 backups. I have the actual device, I have and 2 local storage devices because just in case.
You're doing better than I am there. I just have the media, the physical media, than the ripped copy.
Well, I have the physical media, the ripped copy, and 2 backups of the ripped copy.
Right. Yeah, I don't have that second part. I fall short there.
There's a reason I had the 4 terabyte external hard drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
So I could clone them. Anyway, probably time to wrap this up.
But anyway, Jedi Fallen Order, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I sent it to my oldest to see if he's interested in all in it because I think it looks pretty cool. We'll see if he's interested. Right now he's on kind of a Spider-Man kick, so I have to wait till that's over.
PS5.
I'm not admitting to anything.
PS4.
I'm not admitting to
it's
anything.
older. It's older.
I'm not admitting to anything.
PS4 is older.
I'm not admitting to any POS machines. PS2 was great. The 3 was all right. The 1 was whatever, but the 2 was great. It was all downhill after that.
I will say, actually, I enjoyed the PS3 more than the PS2.
Okay. You're allowed to be wrong.
And you're allowed to be stuck in 1999.
That was like 2003 for me.
Now it's your turn to toss in your 2 cents on today's topic. Hit the Discourse forums, drop us a line under this video or the contact form by visiting tuxdigital.com/contact. If you'd like to hang out with us on our preferred social media platforms, see the links at the bottom of the show description. You can find other great shows like Fit and Fuel, Destination Linux, and Linux Saloon, and more at tuxdigital.com.
Mm-hmm.
Show off your love for your favorite podcasts and shows by visiting the Tux Digital merch store. Grab yourself some awesome swag like the Gamer-Centric I Paused My Game to Be Here shirt. Do it every week. Or
no, you don't every week. Don't play.
Nope.
Don't lie.
Do it every episode.
No, there was that one time when I swear you were playing a game while we were talking.
We were probably having a 3D printing discussion,
right.
And so he probably kicked it back on for a little bit. Yeah,
I think he did.
I'd say so.
I saw something going on in classes. I don't know what you're
talking about.
Of course you don't. You probably don't remember. Got hit in the head too many times.
Total lies, mate. Total lies. Why you gotta lie? Huh? Why?
Well, I'm standing actually.
Okay, touche. Anyway, back to it.
I don't even know where we were.
Or join the hashtag Team Wendy with some sinister Wendy swag. She is evil. It is not sinister. She is evil.
No.
Not
She's
evil.
A force for good, but she's kind of more like a, it's it's a force for good, but not necessarily on the up and up. Something like that.
As always, we thank you for joining us. We'll be back next time with another awesome episode of Linux Out Loud. Until then, keep the banner friendly and the conversation will help, not on topic at all like we do, and have fun doing it.